Okay, our lesson today is 6-2. We are going to be adding and subtracting expressions. Just as a reminder, an expression, oh, let me get my, okay, an expression is something that, like this, okay? If I were, so this actually could have a value, but we would have to figure out what n is first. So if we did this, we would be able to find out that n equaled 8. Does that make sense? If we had n minus 5, so now this becomes an equation when it's like this, okay? N minus 5 equals 3 plus 5. Oh, n wouldn't equal 3, sorry. N would equal 13, not 3. Here, it would equal 3 plus 5, because if this is 13 and it equals 8 and this equals 8, they both have a value of 8. Okay? So an expression is basically one side okay? This is an algebraic expression. This is just an expression. And then this all together, and this one is as well, are both considered equations. Does that make sense? Okay, just as a reminder. If you have a question about that, feel free to come up and see Mrs. Trimpey, or pause this and rewatch it again. Okay, so one of the things about adding and subtracting expressions, you are going to need to how to find out, find the rule. Okay, that's going to be a big portion of what you're going to be doing today. You're going to be finding parts that are open, but you're also going to need to find the rule. Now, right now, it's going to be somewhat easy because obviously the rule is going to be either something with adding or something with subtracting. But when it comes to the test, after tomorrow, when you have multiplication and division, you're going to have a little bit more to think about. So today, just remember, it will help you on the lesson to realize that we are only going to be doing addition or subtraction. So it breaks up your questions that you're going to have on operations into just two possibilities. Okay, so let's start with our input-output table, and I'm going to do this one horizontally instead of vertically, just for space. Okay. We're going to say P is our thing today. So we are going to have 4 options. So I'm going to put 3 lines here. And then this is going to be the rule. Now, remember, our rule that we are going to be trying to find is basically, we know it's going to be P with some kind of operation, and then I'm going to be figuring out the number for the rule, if that makes sense. Okay, so basically, if I were to put this, okay, I'm going to actually go back and color these green and yellow so I know that they are two separate things. Make this one yellow. Okay, so we need to find out the rule. So in this situation, we know that this is going to be 3, 4, 5, and 6. Down here is going to be 68, 69, 70, 71. Okay? So we know that this is going to be adding. Does that make sense? So because this is the smaller number, this is the answer. If we think about that machine, do you remember how we talked about it before? Okay, this is where you're putting it in. This is what comes out, right? And this is the rule. Okay, so we have to decide what is going in. So 3 is going to go in, but we don't know the rule, but we know that 68 comes out. Now at this point I'm going to use a pencil and do it very lightly, because if I want to reuse it, I am welcome to do that. Okay, so here is the 3, here is the 68. Okay, I need to find out the rule in here. Well, I know that it's just adding or subtracting today. So if I start with a 3 and I end up with a 68, I know that my answer is getting bigger, and the only operation that's going to make it bigger is to add. So I know it's going to be P plus something. Okay, well, I can do the inverse operation to figure it out. If I take this and I subtract that, then I can figure out how many I'm going to add. Okay, so if I have 68 and I minus 3, then I know that my answer is going to be 65. Okay, so that gives an example. That's what I found out for just this one. Do I need to test it for all of them? Absolutely, because that might not be the rule, but I need to check. Okay, so if I erase all this again, okay, again, this is 4, and it goes to 69, so I know it has to be plus. So if I put my 4 in here, put my 69 here, 69 minus 4, using the inverse to find it, is going to be 65. Oh, that was the same rule as last time. Okay? And I'm going to go through and I'm going to check each of these. 5, 70, 70 minus 5, again, is 65. Okay. Just to be clear, I'm going to check on that last one. Okay. So I have my 6 and I have my 71. Okay. 71 minus 6. If I go through again, that's 65. So I now know that my rule that would go here, normally I'd put it right in there, is P plus 65, okay? And that goes for the entire unit. Now this part over here, if you want to get a dry erase board and a marker and make this up, and it might make it easier to change it if you tend to write too dark in here. What I would do is leave this here then as showing that what the rule was. I'm just going to try to write it a little bit neater as I'm rushing. Okay, this I'm going to put as my input. This is my output. Just as a reminder, that's why we call this table an input-output table. A couple other names that people call these are XY tables. So they would say this is like the X, this is the Y. In-out table, just a shortened version of input and output. Basically, this is a function table, and this is what the rule is. It's the function of the whole table, okay? But how we will refer to it most times as an input-output table or an in-out table, okay? So, basically, we're going to go through and try a practice problem of our own, okay? So, Okay, now remember, you are going to be looking at them and focusing on just adding and subtracting today. Tomorrow we will focus on multiplication and division, doing the same thing. However, there are times that you are going to have to also not only figure out the rule, but then use that rule to put in an answer, okay? So you're gonna have to go back and forth with inverse operations. Today on this practice problem, our variable is going to be b, and then we are going to put in our lines. Oh, and I'm gonna break my pencil. Okay, so we're gonna have 31 here, 42 here, 55 here, and you are going to figure out what goes here, okay? You also need to figure out the rule, okay? So what is the rule? Okay? And you're going to write that here. So you're going to have blank. The rule will be an expression. You will not need an equal sign or an actual answer, because this rule or this expression is going to apply to each one of these. Okay? Down here, you're going to put 23, 34, 47, and this one's going to be 61. Okay? So you are going to figure out the rule first, and then what the question mark equals, if that makes sense, okay? So write out the rule here. This is going to be an operation, and the only operations we can choose from today are plus or minus, okay? So remember, you need to be looking. The top number, does it turn into a bigger number, or does it turn into a smaller number on the bottom? So the input number, does it turn into a bigger or smaller number in the output down here? And that will help you decide your operation, okay? Please finish this and answer this and what the rule is, and bring it up to me before you go on to your practice problems today. Have a wonderful day. And someone asked one day,